Well, I think communication's the key. We've got all the information that they need, but not only they need, we need as a group to be able to have a sustainable relationship through the whole process. Like if we can identify that their taste is quite high at the start and wind it back then, give them the alternative solutions and it can wind the price back right at the start rather than quoting for the Ferrari and then coming back to a Datsun. Like it's just, that's heartbreaking for them.
Thinking about building or renovating? Or maybe you are already knee-deep in a project now. Are you feeling unsure of which steps to take and if you are making the right calls? You're not alone. Welcome to Builders Beyond Borders, the podcast where experienced Aussie builders share real stories, insider tips, and practical advice so you can build with confidence, avoid costly mistakes, and actually enjoy the journey. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to Builders Beyond Borders. I'm your host, Andy Kearns in Western Australia, and I'm surrounded with three amazing builders around all Australia. We have Matt Auld over there in Victoria, we have Paul Kennedy in Canberra, and then we have you in Victoria also. So guys, thanks for jumping on.
No worries.
Good to be here.
Yep, today's question, guys, I think this is brilliant because if you're listening to this and you're about to renovate or build, the question I'm going to be diving into is a client's champagne taste on a beer budget. So we'll dive into this and I'm going to ask the boys some questions and then hopefully we can get some gold nuggets for you guys if you're ever building or renovating that you might use this and go, wow, I just heard that from this podcast. So I'm going to ask Paul first. What's the craziest or the most unusual request you have ever gotten from a client? How did you make it happen, or did you have to talk the clients out of this, Paul?
I've had a lot of crazy requests over the years, Andy. We could talk about it all day, but one that just comes to mind is a lady wanted me to put a cat door in the brick veneer wall in the toilet, on the same wall as the toilet, so the cat could come out in the corner between the toilet and the wall, not because that's where she wanted the cat inside, but that's where it worked for where she wanted to build the cat tunnel to the cage and everything outside. So, and it had to go on. It was the old toilet that had the rear inlet water as well. So there's only one side; it only just fit in there. And I did try and talk her out of it, but she just set her heart so set on it. She was a crazy cat lady, as some of them are. So we did it for her. It was tiles on the inside, it was brick on the outside, obviously cavity wall. But we managed to get it to work, and that she was just so grateful that that made it all worthwhile in the end, even though it was the most ridiculous thing, and we all just couldn't stop laughing. And that's why it was the first one that came to mind when you mentioned it, because we still laugh about it, even today after. It was probably 4 or 5 years ago now, and we still laugh about it. So,
wow. I said, but again, when you go into people's houses as builders, these are little things that when you are looking at a job, that if they say they love cats, and you can do that job for them, and I guarantee she has told so many people about you, Paul. I have no doubt she has. Do you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Any other wilder stories that clients try to ask you to do something? You're like, okay.
Well, sometimes it just doesn't work either, though. I mean, sometimes you just got to explain to them why they can't do some of the things they want to do, and people don't understand the pros and cons or the technical details of some of these things they want to try and do. You know, and that was an example too, because I did tell her there could be water in the pipes, or there could be cables, there could be all sorts of things in the wall when you try to do it. So sometimes you can get halfway through a job and it's not going to work either, which can sort of get a bit messy and a bit untidy. So you've got to make sure you go over all that with them before the start. But I can't think of another story straight off the top of my head now, Andy. You've put me on the spot, but
that's all right. I'm sure we all have one. I might just go over to you, Bags, and ask them that same question, because what's coming to the top of your head there, you? Have you got anything that you'd like to share?
Well, it wasn't asked of me, but it was certainly an interesting request. Now, the builder at the time did end up doing it. While we were all thinking to ourselves, "Oh, there's something else dodgy going on here." We're all questioning it. The truth came out afterwards. So during the build, the owner had this very large, well, not very large, just an average sized room that had been sort of tacked onto the back of this build, and this was for a volume builder. This was 25 years ago, so I was fresh in the trade and seeing this sort of thing going on. And why would somebody be putting this huge structural steel beam through the middle of this room that it wasn't supporting anything?
Wow.
And as it turns out, this person owned a particular style of adult entertainment store, and had a few proclivities that might have been a little bit colourful. And so in the back of this house, it turned out that they were installing, basically, while they tried to say to the builder at the time, "Oh, it's just for a projector." You don't need a structural steel beam for a bloody projector. And then there were other bits that ended up coming off of it. And so essentially in this house, it got put in. And we found out afterwards, after we finished the project, that they had been installing some of the toys that came from their store. And let's just say that it became very colourful, and everybody looks back now and goes, "Oh, we're not going to have the wool pulled over our eyes when something like that's going on again." So it was quite amusing at the time.
I think it's brilliant. And you know what? I'm sure we all have these little stories that we've been asked to do something in someone's house, because as a builder, they can't do something like this, and we have to do it. And obviously we have to be professional about it during the time. But it's when, like you just told the story there, they were trying to tell you a different way of why the beam was there. So I think that's a great little story. Matt, have you any little stories we can actually let clients know what's the craziest request you ever received?
Well, we once had a lady that wanted a sandstone floor. So normally, and it was in a bathroom. So you know what sandstone's like to touch, very porous. And she goes, "Oh, can't we just cut it so that it's flat and then lay it down?" And I said, "It is going to leak like a sieve." And in the end, we ended up cutting some sandstone for it, 15 or 18 mil or whatever it was with the demo saw, and then had to run the tap on the top of it and show her how the water just seeps through. So that was a really weird one. But she just loved the texture of it, and she just wanted that on her feet. And I was like, "Righto, that's out there." But same as what Paul said, once you explain, people have the idea in their head that they want this because they've seen it somewhere, or someone's told them about it, or even just that they've imagined it. Some things aren't practical. Once you bring it back down to earth and explain why it can't be done, most people are pretty reasonable.
Yeah, no, I agree. Little things I just want to ask, because you know what? People are always thinking it's always roses and fairies when you're doing these projects should go to plan, but sometimes it doesn't, A question for going back to Matt, can you share some creative ways you found to give clients the high-end look they want it, even when the budget only allows the more basic materials or finishes? Have you any examples that you've helped clients through the journey?
Yeah, I think there's certainly different ways, especially with bathroom renos and kitchen renos. Like, they're always coming up with different products and stuff like that are, most of the new products are always really dear, because they're fresh on the market and they've got a limited, let's say, supply. So most of the prices are fairly dear for stuff like that. So I always try and tell people, if you can if that's what you're set on, you've either got to pay the price, or wait for an alternative product to come out, once the patent's finished, or once people catch on that this is going to be popular, go for the alternative product. And it might mean waiting a little bit longer. There's also, in your Laminex range, they've got some brilliant finishes that look like stone from a distance. So that's another way. There are cheaper tiles out there that you can use and put in certain patterns, herringbone patterns and stuff like that, to be able to make it look high end, but in actual fact, it's just a cheap tile, but it's just been laid in a high end pattern look. What's another one? There's always alternative, products out there for claddings and stuff like that that can give you a high end look, but slightly cheaper in price, like your corrugated iron versus say, charred timber, you can still sort of have that elongated look with your charred timber, but using corrugated iron, it still looks similar. And after a while, people only look at what the structure looks like, not really the cladding. So there are a fair few, and there's always alternative products, online shopping, stuff like that. I try and steer clear of online shopping because you don't get the warranty and the after sales care that you would normally get from walking in and physically touching something and dealing with a salesperson at a shop like a Beaumont's or a TradeLink or somewhere like that. But there are alternative solutions where you can cut out the middleman and actually bring that price down into a more effective price range for them near their budget, while still having that high end product. So
I think you don't. The point there about buying the online, Matt, just let clients or the viewers or listeners know is it's great that you can buy these products and you can buy them at a cheaper rate. But when you buy that product and you give that to the builder's they're not liable for that product. Just to be mindful because, you might got this tap online for just say $150, but they're $280 or $300 on the shop. When you give that to the builder or the plumber or whatever, you are liable for that product because you bought that product. So there's a cost to save dollars, and there's the end price. Just remember, guys, is if something goes wrong
warranty,
with that, the warranty. You know,
the other one that there is ways of having that high end. If you shop at all the one place, I've noticed we've been sending a lot of people to Beaumont Tiles because they have the range of plumbing supplies. They've got vanities, shaving cabinets, all the tiles, all the vinyl planks, all the carpet, and floating floors and all that sort of stuff. If you can bundle all your selections into one area and then speak to the people that run the place and say, look, because I'm buying it all at one place, can you look after me a little bit? And people are always willing to help out if you just got to open your mouth and ask. So
that's it. If you don't ask, you don't get, boys. Isn't that right? Thank you, Matt, for that. I'm going to ask the last question for Aldi, and the question is, obviously, we all have the clients with the champagne taste on the beer budget. That when they come through, this is the majority when I see, because clients don't know the prices. They just think we want to build it as best we can, but their budget is not aligning. How do you guide your clients through their options with their budget that doesn't match their vision? Like, how do you bring that process in?
Well, it's a fun area to play with because we do a lot of stuff with our clients right at the design stage. So a lot of times we've got people coming with a grand vision and they're sitting there going, oh, I want to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And X, Y, and Z is going to be exceedingly expensive. Then we talk about budgets. Now, when we're discussing the initial design, we're going through things like their needs, wants, concerns, frustrations, or all this sort of thing, just to find out what kind of expectations they actually have. Because without actually finding out what kind of expectations they have, right down to the little nitty gritty bits about, I just want my line of tiles, let's just say, to be perfectly straight. Sometimes you don't know that until you actually get right into a project, but that can happen. So we need to know people's expectations, and before we can even start talking wholly about whether things are going to align with their budget, we've got to know what they're sort of going to be expecting. So we always run every client through the expectations and their fears about building the project, so that we can actually get a real clear understanding on what's really, really, really important to them. Without knowing what's really important to them, we could be concentrating on something that is absolutely irrelevant to what they really want. So we always make sure that we structure everything that we're talking with our clients about that expectations, and making sure that they understand that what we're going to be doing is we're going to be tailoring a house to their wants, their needs, but also going to be taking into consideration that if cost is going to be the driving force in what's going to be happening, then we need to make sure that everything's going to actually fit that budget from the standpoint of their expectations. And then we can actually design something that is going to be more aligned with their budget, rather than them coming to us with a with a design, and then they get the really scary part. And this is one of those real common things that we do see. Someone takes a set of plans to a builder, and the builder turns around and goes, you know what, that's $200,000 more than your budget. And we see it all the time, and there's no getting away that does happen. And when we do have those discussions before we even get to talking about a budget, we feel more confident in being able to deliver something and be able to tell people, hey, look, you're going to have to seriously consider that option is probably not going to be one that's going to fit your design. And if somebody's turning around saying, hey, look, I want natural stone in my kitchen or on my bench tops, anywhere within the house, but then they find out that, hey, look, natural stone is going to cost a minimum of $1,200 a square metre just for natural stone, where a Laminex might be $400 a square metre.
Big difference.
And it's a huge difference. It's a huge difference. And this is where the alignment of project to budget, that conversation needs to be had real early on, rather than getting down to the stage where we've designed this amazing home, we've got all these products being selected by an interior designer, and we can't do it because the budget is double what we've got allowed for it. And nobody had that discussion with the client while they were designing it, while they were doing it really early. People wonder why we sort of have a bad name as the destructor of dreams and that sort of thing as a builder. We're the destroyer of dreams, and well, we're not. We're just we're the realists that bring the ultimate bit of information to a client, and we don't mean to scare you, but
the cost. This is going to be the cost, and that's what we can see where it's going to go. With your interior designers that you just mentioned, do they help the clients with some costings? Do you have your interior designers give some ballparks to clients?
Interior designers, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, I've found, when it comes to interior designers. Very similar to architects and sometimes drafties as well, where they go out and they source products and they get costs for those products. When they get the cost for the products, they don't necessarily take into account that when a builder's supplying these sorts of things, there is going to be cost for the builder to supply as well. And so they sometimes give an unrealistic expectation to clients about the costs. And this is where one of the things that we do is, because we've got interior designers that we work with and we have the discussions about the costings and all that sort of thing, the costings go through us, not directly from the interior designer to a client. And it's not to do that without it being to being deceitful or anything like that. It's purely because we've got costs to be able to supply. There might be some other things that people aren't taking into account. As we know as builders, there are some on costs that we can't avoid. There might be some delivery charges, or there might be a surcharge for a particular product because it's an on-call product, so you can't get it off the shelf, or any little things like that. Or if something's supplied and it's the wrong product, and then someone's getting charged a restocking fee. There's all these little things that aren't necessarily taken into account by the person giving that price initially to a client, and that's where we as builders, we see those costs day in, day out, and we just know, hey, look, it's not necessarily going to be that direct cost there, but we're working for you to make sure that the product's delivered. You've got a warranty on it. The warranty doesn't just stop from when it's delivered because you've delivered a product, let's just say, like you were sort of mentioning before, where a client delivers a product to a builder and there's no warranty from the builder on that completely falls back onto the person supplying it. So there are those little things that do come into it, and it does get a little bit murky sometimes when it comes to some of those products and the costs associated with it. But without some of that knowledge, and at the end of the day, builders, just like any other professional, the costs are there to be able to do the work, and we've just got to make sure that everybody's sort of well aware of that right from the get-go, rather than finding out halfway through a job or nearing completion that, oh, there's a couple of extra charges that we need to know about, or you need to know about as a client, and you get that sinking feeling in your stomach going, oh, I wish I'd known about this earlier because we haven't accounted for that and we don't have the money to do it. Well, then it can't be installed or something along those lines. And we've all had an experience or been around someone that's seen that experience, and that's not something that we we're all humans as well, and we don't like that feeling. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting space to sort of be in when you've got champagne budget, champagne taste, beer budget, water. Even though water's more expensive than bloody beer these days.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, I enjoy that. I enjoy that space of having those conversations with clients really early on, and it just definitely helps to know what you're actually getting into before you do actually fully engage. And those conversations, every conversation early on, just like Paul was sort of mentioning earlier as well, you've got to have those conversations, and if you're not having those with a builder early, is that a red flag?
Yeah, I know. I agree. You. Yeah, there's some deep conversations you have to have with these clients sometimes, just to put them in their, just to let them know in their place sometimes. And it does feel like we are the bad person coming across. At least like, oh, that builder's going to sting me for more money, or he's out to do me, you know. Is there anything, Paul or Matt, would you like to add to Hugh's answer to? Would you like to add anything in your processes that you would help your clients through?
I'm just trying to explain to them that, you know, when there are costs with the cost, like they think, oh, there's going to be an extra $1,000 or whatever, this thing, they think you're going to take that $1,000, put in your pocket. It's explaining to them that money is actually, you're lucky if you get 10% of it, probably more like 5 or less, because there's other factors involved. We're trying to explain all those things to people. It's sometimes it's a bit hard because they don't understand it, but it's better to try and explain it to them as best you can, so that at least they understand that, you know, when they're getting charged for something, they're not actually just physically giving you the money to put in your pocket, because it's got to be spread out across a lot of various different materials and fees and insurances, overheads and contractors and one thing and another. And at the end of the day, you've got to work out that balance and get that right, so that there actually is something hopefully left for you to put in your pocket at the end of the day out of that. Whatever that figure may be.
Yeah, no, I agree. Lovely. That's a good nugget, Paul. And for you, Matt, is there anything you'd like to finish us off?
Well, I think communication's the key. Like if we've got all the information that they need, but not only they need, we need as a group to be able to have a sustainable relationship through the whole process. Like if we can identify that their taste is quite high at the start and wind it back, then give them the alternative solutions and the things that, you know, it can wind the price back right at the start, rather than quoting for the Ferrari and then coming back to a Datsun. Like, it's just, that's heartbreaking for them. So I think if at the start the communication's quite high and we're able to identify that, it puts it in a better space for them as they're moving forward, that collaboratively you can come up with a design and a high-end finish tailored to their budget, where everyone's happy. And if they want to up it during the construction phase, like Paul said, you bring the prices to them, you explain it to them thoroughly, everyone's on the same page.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I like to, so a lot of people go out and get that square meter rate, and they're always asking, what's your square meter rate? What's your square meter rate? And you should never compare apples to apples, because everyone's business is different. A volume builder square meter rate is going to be a lot more cheaper than a custom builder like all of us. But what my tip here, guys, is we found 2 amazing interior designers, and I do the on-site consultation first, and then I introduce the interior designers to the clients to get a concept drawn for me to get a ballpark off, because what they can do, that I can't, that they'll walk out and they'll give the big vision and they'll sell the dream even better, because they'll design the concepts and they'll start spitting out some ballpark numbers, which I found has been very helpful for me then, because when I come out to do my build estimate, they understand where the figure should be at, instead of me coming out now and going, oh, I expect this should be the cost. So that's been my nugget the last few months, because again, when I walk into these people's houses, they don't trust you at the start. They're like, this guy's here to rob me. That's what that's what. Now, I don't know if it's all happening to you, but it's the trust thing. The man has the arms folded across thinking, how much is this guy going to charge me? And the wife just wants you to do everything for them. So that's my little advice, you know. Guys, you, Matt, Paul, thanks a million, guys. Really appreciate it. Builders Beyond Borders, that's another episode done. Thanks for tuning in. If you're listening, if you like any of these guys, please head down below. You'll find all the details of all the builders. And we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to Builders Beyond Borders. If today's episode helped you feel more prepared, clearer, or more confident, share it with a mate who's planning their own build or reno. Got a question about building, renovating, or working with tradies? Send it our way. We might cover it in a future episode. And don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss the real stories, practical tips, and builder insights we've got coming your way. Everything shared on this podcast is based on our experiences and those of our guests. It's general info only. Any reliance on the information provided is done at your own risk.